I found out my mother had a secret second family, and realizing I was the child she chose to keep while abandoning the other has left me questioning whether her love for me was ever real. I always thought my family was normal, not picture perfect by any means, but stable in the way that gives a kid a foundation to grow on. My parents argued sometimes, sure, my dad traveled for work a lot. My mom was the glue that held everything together. And me, I was the quiet kid, the one who didn't cause trouble, who sat at the kitchen table doing homework while mom cooked dinner and dad called from some hotel to time zones away. Looking back, maybe I should have noticed the cracks, the missed birthdays, the times mom seemed oddly distracted, the phone calls she'd take outside where I couldn't hear. But when you're a kid, you don't question the world your parents build for you, you just live in it. It wasn't until I was 24, after both of my parents were gone, that I realized the life I had lived was only half the truth. And the other half, the half they kept from me, still haunts me every single day. My mom passed. First, was sudden, a heart attack on a rainy Thursday in April. I was still living in my hometown, working a mediocre office job, convinced that my 20s were supposed to be a blur of confusion and false starts. Losing her gutted me. She had always been my constant, the one who remembered which foods I hated, who kept every drawing I ever made, who knew when to push me and when to just listen. A year later, my dad followed, cancer. We hadn't been particularly close, but grief doesn't measure distance. It just crashes in, uninvited, and drowns you anyway. After the funerals, the estate, and the endless paperwork, I was left with their house. The house I had grown up in, with its creaky stairs and outdated wallpaper, now felt like a museum of my own life. I spent weekends sorting through boxes of old photographs, clothes that still smelled faintly of detergent, and trinkets that once seemed insignificant but now glowed with memory. That's when I found the envelope. It was buried in the back of Mom's nightstand drawer, under a stack of birthday cards and receipts. The envelope was worn, the kind that had been opened and resealed too many times. My name wasn't on it. Instead, it was addressed to someone named Ethan. Curiosity gnawed at me. I opened it. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. In some, my mother stood smiling with a boy about my age. Sometimes he was younger, sometimes older, depending on the photo. She had her arm around him in the same protective way she used to hold me. In one picture, she was blowing out candles on a cake while he leaned against her, grinning. In another, they stood in front of a school, his backpack slung casually over one shoulder. My chest tightened. Who was this kid? Why had Mom never mentioned him? Why did she look at him in those pictures the same way she looked at me? At the bottom of the stack was a birth certificate. Ethan James Porter. Mother, Rebecca Porter. Father, unknown. My mother's name. My mother's handwriting on some of the notes paperclipped to the photos. Notes like first day of school, 2003, or E's 10th birthday. I sat on the floor of her bedroom for hours. The photos spread around me like pieces of a puzzle I wasn't sure I wanted to solve. My mother had another child, a son. Secret second family, and she had kept him hidden from me my entire life. At first, I told myself there had to be a mistake. Maybe Ethan was a distant cousin, or a child she fostered, or the son of a close friend she'd helped raise. But deep down, I knew the truth. These were the kinds of moments you didn't share with someone else's child. These were the moments of a mother and her son. I felt sick, betrayed, like my whole life had been built on a lie. I spent weeks in a fog, avoiding the house, avoiding the box of photographs I'd shoved into my closet. But the questions wouldn't stop. Who was Ethan? Where was he now? Why had I never met him? The answers came in fragments, pieced together through stubborn determination and late-night internet searches. I found a trail, old yearbooks with his name in them, local news clippings that mentioned a boy who had won a soccer championship. Eventually, a social media profile. He looked so much like me it made my stomach twist. Same dark hair, same crooked smile. Only he was surrounded by people, friends, what looked like a girlfriend, even kids. He was a father, and I realized, with a sick jolt, that my mother had been a grandmother, the grandmother to his children. While I never even knew they existed, I messaged him. It took me 3 days to write the message, and another week to get a reply. He was cautious, confused. He said he remembered my mother very well. She had been in his life until he was 18. Then she vanished. She stopped calling, stopped visiting, stopped everything. He had wondered for years what happened. To her, why she had abandoned him. And now here I was, her other son, proof that she hadn't abandoned everyone. She had only abandoned him. I wanted to defend her. I wanted to believe there was some explanation. Something that would make this all make sense. But when I told him she had raised me, that I had lived with her every day until the day she died, I saw his face harden. His eyes went flat. So she chose you, he said. Those words hit harder than anything else. She chose me, and in choosing me, she unchose him. I had grown up believing I was loved, cherished, wanted. But now, every hug, every smile, every whispered I love you was tainted by the question, did she only give that love to me because she had stolen it from him? The guilt was unbearable. I started replaying every memory of my childhood, searching for signs. Was she ever distracted because she had just come from visiting him? Did those phone calls I overheard belong to him? Was every excuse she made grocery, shopping, visiting a friend, working late really just code for the time she spent with her other son? And worse, had she ever compared us? Had she held me and thought of him? Had she looked at me and seen the shadow of the boy she left behind? I met Ethan in person a month later. We sat in a cafe, awkward and stiff, like strangers who shared too much DNA. He told me about his life, how he had always felt like an afterthought, raised mostly by his grandmother while my mom drifted in and out, how he used to wait by the window for her car to pull up, only to be disappointed half the time, how, when she disappeared for good, he convinced himself it was his fault, that he hadn't been good enough. Listening to him, I felt like my skin was on fire. Here was the ghost of my own life, a boy who could have been me if fate or my mother's choice had tilted differently. And while I had grown up with birthday parties, home-cooked meals, and a mother who never missed a school play, he had grown up with scraps, and then nothing. At the end of our meeting, he asked me a question I still can't answer. Do you think she loved me? I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Because the truth was, I didn't know, and maybe I never would. After that day, Ethan and I drifted in and out of contact. Sometimes we'd message, sometimes we wouldn't. The distance between us wasn't just physical, it was the distance of years of stolen love, of choices made long before we had any say. But every time I look in the mirror, I see pieces of him. Every time I think of my mother, I see the shadow of the boy she left behind. And I wonder what kind of person I really am. Am I the lucky one, or am I just the thief who unknowingly lived the life that should have been his? The secret my mother kept didn't just divide her children, it divided me from myself. And no matter how many years pass, I don't think I'll ever be whole again, because now I know that family isn't just about who's there for you, it's about who wasn't. And I was the one she chose to keep. But at what cost? That's the part I'll never escape. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this.